Welcome to Hick Talk Storytime. Pull you up a chair and set a spell. I'm from the North Carolina mountains, and I wanted to share with y'all about the time I lived in Georgia. This was in the early to mid 2000s, and I liked it right well there. The cost of living was cheap. I don't know how it is now, but it was affordable back then. And I lived in a town called Macon, which is smack dab in the middle of Georgia. There wasn't no oceans, no mountains. But I tell you what was there: fire ants, or far ants if you will. I didn't know what they were. I reckon they're somewhere in North Carolina, maybe on the coast or something, but not here in the mountains, so I didn't know anything about them. Well, there was a fire ant hill out in the yard, and I was out there mowing grass in the miserable Georgia heat, and that's a story for another time. But I was push mowing the lawn, and I ran over that ant hill, and I just kept on mowing like I had good sense. And within seconds, I ain't lying, y'all, it wasn't even a full minute before I was being brutally attacked on my hands and arms. Them little red bastards had come from up and under the mower and crawled all the way up the handle and got all over my person. I had to do the stop, drop, and roll because I was being eviscerated by these miserable creeps. I was taking the awfulest fit and carrying on and pleading with the Almighty for mercy, and they were all up in my clothes and everything, and I about had to shed my clothes right there in front of God and everybody, not to mention about gave my neighbors, Miss Frankie and Mr. Zeb, a free show. I somehow stumbled into the house and got in the shower and took an antihistamine, and I vowed that as surely as the Lord liveth, I was going to get revenge on them little red vampires. I decided I was going to get my revenge by using homemade remedies. I don't know why I did that. Maybe because it was the early 2000s and we were still in the Y2K era. The first thing I did was pour boiling water down into their nest. But you know what? They can make a live raft out of water. Flooding don't even affect them. They lock their bodies together and make a raft with the queen in the center. It did nothing but put them on some sort of tropical vacation. And it also killed all the surrounding grass. The next thing I tried was coffee grounds. And I don't even drink coffee, but guess what? Apparently, they do. All it did was energize them by putting them on a caffeine high. The next thing I did was put grits in there in the hopes that they'd eat them and explode. But you know what? The adults, they don't eat solid food. But guess who does? The larvae. So the adults carried the grits to the larvae and fed them. So all I did was increase their colonizer spirit, where they were just taking over the place. They were building forts and data centers and military posts and lookout posts and all that. So that didn't work. The last thing I tried, and I don't know why I didn't do this in the first place, was Dawn dishwashing liquid. Now please, I implore you, is there anything that Dawn can't do? Because this either suffocated them out or caused them to relocate, because they's gone after that. Now feel free to leave me any tips on how to get rid of these varmints in case I ever run into them again. One little side note, my daughter, she's grown and lives in New York, but this past summer she wanted to visit Georgia and see that old house because she didn't remember it too well. And she did go, and Miss Frankie and Mr. Zeb still live in that house next door. And she went and knocked on the door, and Mr. Zeb answered, and he remembered her, even though she wasn't but knee-high to a fire ant last time he saw her. Oh, and second side note, Macon's the only place where I've ever seen a hockey match. They had a professional team called the Macon Whoopee. The end.